I'm Alan Ross. I'm the managing editor of APC Technologies, and we are here at the NETA, the International Electrical Testing Association, their 2023 Power Tech Conference, doing interviews. My guest with me is the Director of Communications for APC Media, Rachel Linke. Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely, Alan. Would miss it.
We're just going to have an interesting time with all of these people, and tell me what you like best about these interviews.
The best part about these interviews, I feel like, is that it really brings about a lot of great thought leadership, and I really just love how you make everybody feel so comfortable, Alan. You really try to get people to just be comfortable and in their own skin, and then so much great information comes out of it. So
let's see if we made people in the next interview comfortable. Enjoy. My next guest is Joseph Aguirre, and Joseph is with Megger. He's an applications engineer. Joe, thank you for being here. So I'm going to go between Joe and Joseph because you said I could.
Yes, sir.
First of all, tell me a little bit about you and your career and how you got into this industry.
All right. So mine's a little bit unique in some ways.
That's what I want. Unique stories, Joe.
So I came out of the field. So I started as a maintenance technician in East Texas, Marshall, Texas. I was there for about 3 years, and I got about a 50-cent raise after 3 years. And so I was like, man, I got to do something else. Okay, right. So I started going back to school. I went to TSTC, which is the technical college for industrial maintenance. And I graduated in 2 years while working full-time, so I was a maintenance technician for roughly about 5 years. After I graduated there, my company there offered me a rate that I felt like I should have been compensated more for. So I left there and went to the utilities in Fort Worth, Texas, Encore. So I started my career there in the utilities, and after about 3 years, I seniored out, became a crew foreman. I was there for about 2 more years, and then we usually, the utility world, you know, is sometimes a lot of hours, right?
So, yeah.
So we did work a whole lot of hours, and I was one of the go-to guys for overtime and everything, right? So I kind of wanted to settle down a little bit and not be home more, so to speak. So I went to a NETA testing company, and when I went there, they just kind of focused on our own backyard in DFW.
Okay.
And so that worked out pretty well, and then they got purchased by a larger company, and so I was out more, right?
Okay.
And so right now I'm probably like 12 years within, or 11 years into my career, about 10 to 11 years into my career right now. And so I was a NETA technician for right around 3 years. And then I decided to join Megger in the beginning of 21, the end of 20.
Okay.
So I got hired on at Megger, and I've been here, and now I am the substation lead for the technical support group.
Okay.
And what drove me to go from, you know, the utilities into testing to NETA and then over here is that I found enjoyment of actually testing and looking at assets while in the utilities. Then going to NETA also furthered my ability not just on high voltage and EHV apparatuses, but also on low voltage systems as well. And so when I came over here, I had a plethora of background knowledge on a lot of different systems.
So you're called an applications engineer, right?
Yes, sir.
Describe what that means. What do you do every day when you show up?
So we wear many hats, right? So basically what we'll do is if we do have to go to the field, right? So let's say someone purchased one of our equipment or just want to demo it or anything of the sorts, they'll go in, we'll go in there, we'll train them on the actual electrical theory portion of it, and then hands-on training on our equipment.
Yeah.
The reason why we prefer to do electrical theory training on it is because if something goes wrong, they understand how the unit does, how it tests, and so they understand how to troubleshoot at that standpoint. If we're not traveling, I write papers, I present here, and so there's been a few papers that I've published. There's been many seminars I've presented at, and other than that, if we're just in the office, then we either prepare those things or we actually answer the phone for technicians in the field that have issues with the equipment as far as, hey, I don't know, is this test data correct, you know, or we're having issues with actual equipment itself, and we help them troubleshoot over the phone.
So, what are some of when you say you write papers and you present, that you must start with the problem, right?
Yes.
What are the issues that you're seeing out there that you're actually writing papers on, or it's almost like use cases, case studies. Talk to me about what do you see as the problems out there.
So the problems in the industry today that we actually help write these papers for is the workforce is aging, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Don't look at me and say aging.
Hey man, I got all the grays coming in too, man. So the workforce is aging, right?
Yeah.
And so to counterbalance that, we have a younger workforce coming in, and we're just trying to recruit as crazy because it's very hard to get into this industry. Why I mean hard is because no one wants to come here because just like I heard earlier today, somebody said that being in the power industry is not sexy, right?
Yeah,
it's not like
sure.
computer engineering
Right.
or graphic designing, things like that. Over here, it's a lot, and depending, especially if you're in the field, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat, long hours, things like that. People don't want to do that anymore, right? And so the people that we do get in, they're usually pretty much fresh off the streets for the most part, and so it's very challenging to transfer that knowledge for someone that's not 100% competent in what they're doing yet, right? And so the transfer of knowledge from the older gurus, so to speak, right, to go to the younger technicians, it becomes more of a challenge. So things that Megger kind of does to counterbalance that, we make things a little more automated, right?
Okay.
But that's why we also come in and train them on electrical theory as well. That way they can understand, not just be a button pusher, but understand what's happening when they push that button.
Yeah.
That way if something does arise, they know how to troubleshoot.
The Megger reputation is outstanding. I know a number of people with your organization. I was at lunch yesterday, and somebody said, "Yeah, it takes 2 years to get a Megger." I think it was SFRA testing.
The fracs.
Yeah, the testing, and I'm thinking, wow, that's a nice problem I have. And I don't know if that's because you have supply chain issues, or it's just the demand is so high.
It's a combination of both, but a lot of it does arise to the supply chain issues. We weren't immune to it, right?
Yeah.
Everybody got hit by that.
Right.
And so dealing with supply chain problems is very hard for anybody because you had a source and you're just used to basically ordering as you need, right, type of supply chain. And nowadays people are going back to the surplus stockpile.
Right.
And one way that we try to help our customers on that aspect, not just for our wait times, we're sourcing from different avenues now versus just having one singular source.
Okay.
And another way that we try to help our customers as well is by utilizing some of our technology and our tips and tactics, right, as far as testing. You can have a more proactive approach versus a reactive approach on asset managing.
Right.
So you can actually see through test data and trending on when you may need to basically, I want to say, like babysit your system so you don't put it at full load, especially in the summertime. Because I'm from Texas, so we push our transformers hard during the summer. So instead of putting it at like 100%
You
load,
push them hard in the wintertime too, when everything freezes up.
Oh
right?
yes, definitely. So that was pretty cold this year and a couple years ago too. And so we'll throw out emergency fans and things like that as far as utility wise, and overload the transformers, because you have demand that you have to sustain. And if you know that there is a weak asset on that transformer, because if that transformer goes out, especially in those peak conditions, you're going to lose everything, right? Not just one house, you're going to lose, half the city maybe. And so if you know that you might need to basically baby this transformer because let's say there's a weak pushing and there's a 2-year lead time, now you know, hey, I don't need to put this thing at full capacity. Let's put about 80-75% load, tie some load in the field, pick it up on another transformer downstream.
Yeah, the ability now to do that is tremendous, where you can, through good relays and the systems that we have right now, they can actually manage load much better. The problem is when everything needs to be overloaded.
Yes.
I think it was Argentina as a country almost got shut down because one overload tripped, and it was you just didn't have the protection systems.
It's just a cascade effect.
Yeah, and it shut the country of Argentina down for like an hour or two, which was amazing. I was at a conference and the guy was presenting on that. Okay, I want you to give me the elevator pitch. Why should I hire you and Megger to do what you and Megger do? So specifically you in your role.
Okay, so basically us as Megger, so I'm part of the technical support group, right? So as long as you own a piece of equipment, so if you even own a piece of our legacy equipment, you have lifetime technical support of the equipment.
Oh, that's cool.
Right. So
even if you've discontinued the equipment.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's been many cases, because I do not just substation, I also cover cable products as well for our company.
Oh.
And so there's a lot of different older biddle units, back in like the 1960s and stuff, that I had to go out there and retrain people because it just been sitting back there collecting dust. Right. And so we do still hold technical support for those, and then we still get those calls as well from people saying, hey, supply chain issues, we need more stuff, we're growing, we can't get things in, we bought this, eBay or whatever. It doesn't matter, you own it, we'll still support you, so we'll come out there, train you up on it, show you how to use it, or we could do it virtually, however the customer sees fit.
What I find interesting, you mentioned cables, so now TAN, Delta, and partial discharge is happening a lot more on cables.
Yes,
so
sir.
It's the use of technologies that we never used on cables before, using it on cables, which is brilliant.
Well, that technology has actually been around for decades. So partial discharge is not new; it's just new here to the States, right? And VLF TAN Delta has been utilized overseas in Europe and all over the world as well for many decades. So there's a plethora of knowledge on there. It's just everything's hard to penetrate into the United States, right? But right now it's starting to build more momentum just because of supply chain issues. It's harder to just throw something away and get a new one. So they want to see and make stuff last longer and be more proactive, like I was saying before, and fix these degradation of installations, right, a lot quicker than just wait till failure and throw it away.
So Joseph Aguirre, you're hired. Okay, thank you so much.
All right, anytime.